I've changed my mind on something significant, something that could impact the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. And I always try to be honest and upfront with you as I change my mind on things, because sometimes we get new information, we have new factors in the algorithm that impacts your decision on something, your outlook on something, your analysis on something. And I have changed my mind on something that very recently, actually just yesterday, I changed my mind on this. A story that matters for 2024, and it's impacting public opinion. So before I even delve into the what it isness of that story, let me just paint a picture, some context here, zoom out a little bit. In 2020, there was a story, a news story, that could have impacted the outcome of the election, and it didn't because it was suppressed. I'm talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. The New York Post wrote an expose on what the content was on Hunter Biden's laptop that Hunter Biden left at the laptop repair shop. And the New York Post published this, and it probably would have impacted the outcome of the election had that article been allowed to circulate. But we weren't allowed to circulate it. You know this, I know this. We weren't even allowed to send it on direct message on Twitter at the time. Twitter, this is before Elon Musk, under Jack Dorsey. This was censored. It was censored because the intelligence apparatus of the federal government, the FBI especially, was whispering in the ears of big tech, whispering, telling big tech, oh, this looks like a Russian operation. This looks like fake news, disinformation. You got to censor this. You got to stop this, or else our party, our election, our democracy will be compromised by the Russians. Well, of course, as we all know, the Hunter Biden laptop story turned out to be true. The New York Post article turned out to be accurate. The reporting was reality. Hunter Biden really did engage in this drug-fueled behavior. He really did sell access to the White House, to his father, to the vice president at the time, to foreign entities, including Chinese and Ukrainians. It's really horrendous stuff. And a poll showed in the aftermath of the election, once it was established that the Hunter Biden laptop story was in fact true, it was established that Democrat voters, had they known about the story, would have reconsidered their vote for Biden. It's one of the most stunning things. I think about it often because it's one of the most stunning displays of a federal government censoring the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, in order to put their favorite candidate in office. This is like third world banana republic stuff, and yet it happened in the United States. And what's even crazier is a lot of people are just like, well, let's let the past be the past. Let's not relitigate 2020. Let's just let bygones be bygones and focus on the future. And it's mind-blowing to me because they successfully, potentially at least, changed the outcome of the election. So all this being said, I have simultaneously been obsessing about the Hunter Biden laptop story and how big tech and our government censored it. At the same time that I make the argument that, yes, it's salacious and kind of juicy and grotesque and embarrassing to see Joe Biden shirtless on the beach in Delaware for the 4th of July, shuffling around in the sand like the old man that he is. It's hard to believe he's the leader of the free world when you see a video like that. You know he's being controlled by other people. But I've actually made the argument, and I stand by this, that I don't think his old age is going to make a difference. And the reason why is because if you are a committed Democrat, then you're not going to decide not to vote for the Democratic candidate just based on a characteristic about the candidate that you don't like, right? So if you are an ideologically secure radical leftist Marxist, then you don't care if Joe Biden's a puppet. You don't care if he's the victim of elder abuse. You just want him in office. You just want him because you don't want Trump. So I don't think his age is a good attack from the right, because I don't think it changes a significant number of minds. And it doesn't change independents and centrists' minds because it's not something that creates a visceral reaction when people hear it. It's not something that they feel personally. It's not something they can relate to. It's just something that's like, well, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. He is senile, but you know, what are you really going to do about it? Let's go about our day. But there is a story about the Bidens that I previously didn't think would make a difference that I now do think will make a difference in the 2024 election, and that is Navy Joan Biden. Navy Joan Biden is Joe Biden's 7th grandchild. Navy Joe Biden is Hunter Biden's daughter. Hunter Biden fathered this young girl with a stripper in Arkansas, and he has denied paternity from day one, even after the court established that Hunter Biden was in fact the father of Navy Joan Biden, this beautiful little girl. Hunter Biden has tried to deprive her of any familial connection to him. He actually went to court. This is so evil. He went to court to try to deprive her the use of his last name, to say she shouldn't be named Navy Joan Biden because Hunter wants to deny her. He doesn't want her. He's pushing her away. He's trying to abandon her. And he has the gall to do this publicly. Even though he's in the public eye, the story's in the public eye, this little girl is now in the public eye. I mean, you and I know her name. Bet you can't name any other grandchildren of Joe Biden's. I can think of like one of his granddaughter's name because she lives at the White House and got married at the White House. Otherwise, I don't care what the names of his grandchildren are. But Navy Joan Biden is now a public figure because her father is trying to disown her publicly, and he's willing to do this in public. For a while, and this is where I changed my mind, I thought, you know what? I'm not sure that this matters because Hunter Biden is such, I mean, he's a literal crackhead. He's possibly committed not just illegalities when it comes to taxes and firearms, but I'm talking law breaking to the point where maybe he violated if you lobby for a federal government, the Foreign Agent Registration Act, he's probably in violation of that. He's like a borderline traitor to our country, selling access to the White House just for money to foreign entities that want what's bad for us. They are hostile to our values, to our nation, and to our families. And I thought, well, listen, if those things haven't made a difference in the Biden administration, then maybe this Navy Joan granddaughter story doesn't. And I realized that I was wrong for two reasons. I realized that my calculation was a miscalculation because of the reaction from the public, including from Democrats, to this clip. This is White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre responding to a question about Joe Biden's 7th grandchild.
There was a story in the New York Times over the weekend about Hunter Biden's daughter in Arkansas. Does the president acknowledge this little girl as his granddaughter?
I don't have anything to share from here.
So the response to that video was very interesting to me, and I thought, well, maybe I've miscalculated this. Maybe I have underestimated the public's reaction to this. And my conclusion is that, yes, I have underestimated the reaction. And the reason that I underestimated the reaction is because of what we started talking about 7 minutes ago when we started this show. We started talking about the Hunter Biden laptop story. And I realized, you know what? The American people, including Democrat voters, actually do care about corruption. They do care about Hunter Biden's immorality and his criminal behavior. It's not that they have dismissed this. It's that the federal government, the intelligence apparatus, which has been compromised by radical leftists, and big tech, which is also run by radical leftists, stifled that. So it's actually not that Hunter Biden is not an effective attack on Joe Biden. He is a very effective attack on Joe Biden because people care about corruption. They care about lying. They care about cashing out. They care about him being a crackhead. They care about him abandoning his daughter and doing it publicly, trying to deprive her his last name. The mainstream media, the corporate media, and big tech have just censored this at the behest of the intelligence community, which rendered it did kind of neuter Hunter Biden for the 2020 election. But if the media, at the behest of the intelligence apparatus, has not neutered this story, people will care about it. And the reason people care about Navy Joan Biden, and I will call her by the name that she deserves and not the name that, it's the name that Hunter Biden's trying to deprive her of, but it's her rightful name. The reason that people care about this, while they don't care about Joe Biden's age, even if they say like, oh yeah, that's weird, I don't like that, it's time for a new generation, it's not going to change their vote. The reason this might change their vote is because while they don't have a visceral reaction to Joe Biden being old, they just kind of feel embarrassed or annoyed about it. They do have a visceral reaction to seeing this little girl deprived of her father. Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.